Alright, the final stage of the British Grand Prix Alfa Romeo edition we got here, starting out with an average speed challenge. Now, if you read the description of the goal carefully, they did use a different word this time, because we've had a couple of other instances of average speed challenge throughout the event. Like we had one in stage 2, and we had one in the previous stage 6. And both instances, they use the word maintain the average speed, meaning you have to keep your average speed above the target as you're crossing the finish line. For this goal, they use the word reaching average speed, and normally, most of us wouldn't really think twice about it, but it actually makes a difference, because this one, basically, as long as you hit the target average speed once throughout this challenge, these like more or less 2 full laps almost, right? You will be able to complete the goal. You don't necessarily have to finish the cross the finish line with the average speed above the target, right? So now let's talk about the actual speed here. So first lap, the tire's cold, so it's a little bit harder to go as hard. So if you look at my average speed, I finished at sort of the pre-lap around 236 and change, and now I have 100% grip on those tires. Now I can really attack this lap. And since we're not really being timed, we just need to finish the 13th place, which we already have. The goal is to really maximize the track and see if you can, extend the distance, so kind of a large arc through Luffield. And obviously you will take the cops flat out, because that's what you should do. And then basically in this lap I have to make up that deficit of some 10 kph of average speed. So if you're coming down here with the 240s, 243, as you can see, I am having to go pretty deep through still. I am actually kind of still accelerating. I'm not really hopping on the brakes. That's the key. You wanna let the car coast a little bit into still, and then once you are sort of you gotta make sure you hit the apex to make sure you're still building your average speed. Obviously, if you have more tunings or driver level, higher driver or team principal level, this challenge might not be all that big of a deal. In fact, on my other accounts, when I ran it with the Mercedes and McLaren, this goal wasn't terribly, it didn't stick out as being terribly difficult. With the Alfa Romeo, there's little, this car is a little less forgiving of your errors, so you really have to be on spot with hitting the apex, because, it's got lower grip, and also it's got the slower acceleration. So different kind of challenges. Now, goal 2, where we just need to get up to the P9, right? So this goal isn't too bad. So this goal is kind of sandwiched, I feel like, between 2 goals that could pose a little bit more trouble. So this is a little bit of a breather goal where you can have fun without being overly stressed. Obviously, you don't have to worry about the, fading grip or building grip from 0%. So there we go. We got the P9. And yeah, just like that, this one's pretty straightforward goal. So not much to really say about this one. And And let's see. It's nice practice, you know. Can kind of test out hitting the top speed challenge. That is the next one. Hitting the 313 and change. Push deep into maggots. There you go. Obviously, you don't want to skid out because you still are not allowed to go off track or crash. So, alright. We'll do some drafting. With drafting, you definitely can hit the target speed down hanger straight. And when you're running with the minimal tuning and no driver and team principal level up, yeah, you have to be a little bit more, I guess, strategic about how you're gonna get through some of these goals. Alright, so goal 2 of the final stage, pretty simple. We don't get much for it either, since, you know, finishing 9th isn't really anything to write home about. Scroll down to find my time. And there we go. Alright, puts the car in red, but we do have instant service if you play your cards right. And apparently there's 30% discount on a Bugatti. Alright, so this goal, the top speed goal, did give me a bit of, well, this was primarily the goal that costed me a bit of extra resources, in-game resources, on my other 2 accounts, because this was the only challenge that I needed to put the tuning on the car, because it's running stock. You just cannot hit that kind of speed. Certainly not 6 times during this 3-lap plus this pre-roll, right? But with Alfa, I already hit one there. That's the one that you can hit on your own. And I am going to try to get some help from Lando and see if I can set one more instance, there we go, of the top speed challenge, or the meet the goal, right? And now we're up to P8 as well. We do need to finish this in P6, so we cannot just stay behind the same opponent the whole time. So now we're in P8, and no need to really overdrive. We don't have to like maintain average speed or anything, so we have to, however, maintain a strategic distance, so we don't, you know, we gotta make sure the car in front clears out of the way when we hit Cops Corner, because that's usually where trouble begins. So make sure you're far enough behind that, in my case, Carlos is out of the way. There we go. That gives me 3 instances of the top speed, and one more drafting that should get me another instance of, there we go, hitting the top speed target, 313 and change. Alright. And now I have 2 more laps to go at this point, and between Luffield and maggots, I know I can hit the top speed on my own, so I don't really need to rely on car in front, which looks like Charles. So only thing that I need to worry about with him is I just need to make sure I overtake before the end of the next 2 laps, right? So here we go with Alfa Romeo C39. I have no problem hitting the top speed. It's quite one of the simpler challenges with this car. So 314, there we go. So we got 5 instances. And we just need one more. And looks like I'm not going to be able to get any drafting help from Charles. That's fine. I have one more full lap after this one, so in which I can just set the, reach the top speed on my own without having to rely on drafting. So places me in a good, comfortable spot here. But I do need to overtake him at some point, so we're closing in. And as I said, when you don't have to worry about fading grip or anything like that, it's not too difficult. It's quite entertaining and quite fun. Alright, so here we go. This should get me the last instance. I don't think Charles will get in my line through cops. He is going to be cleared out of the way. And once I'm out, I shall reach my top speed goal right there. 6 instances of hitting 313 plus change. And now coming out of Chapel. And we'll gonna have to, this is coming down to kind of a last minute, isn't it? Still is a bit risky spot for an overtake, so we'll just do it in the chicane, which is fine as long as we come out in front. Doesn't really matter. Alright, so yeah, this goal, knowing I needed certain I needed to have my car to be able to go so fast. Not too complicated. So hopefully, if you guys are running through this event after watching my video, hopefully it made it easier for you guys and a little less stressful. Basically knowing that you need some tuning and the speed on spec, what you need to have on spec. So the thing that we learn that I learned by going through this event is that, because one of the things that everybody wonders, at least I was wondering, and many others that I know are wondering, were the different specs on these cars with a different varying PR, do they really make a significant enough difference in actual gameplay? And the first Belgian Grand Prix, we obviously had a set PR requirement, so you had to get certain tunings to be able to complete. So not necessarily skill-based, so that one wasn't not as easy to figure out how the different specs on different cars were going to affect. But this challenge, the British Grand Prix, definitely reveals how different cars perform. And yeah. Now, this goal, the penultimate goal of the full event, right, where we have to come in 3rd place, no off track, no crashing, and of course, as you can see, the grip is fading. Oh man, this fading grip challenges make you very that's stressful. But yeah, this challenge was a bit tricky on Alfa Romeo. With both Mercedes and McLaren, this goal was, I don't remember it being, any tricky or anything like that. But with Alfa Romeo, of course, I'm running with a significantly less number of tunings on this one, so quite a bit lower PR. But because the cars got the top speed that's fast enough, it's just not as forgiving when it comes down to cornering. So as long as you can nail the corners, as it turns out, you can finish this event by spending the least amount on in-game resources by going with Alfa Romeo. At least that was the case for me, because with the other cars, the reason why you had to spend the extra resources to get more tuning was because it was impossible to hit the set target speed, you know. And with this car, Alfa Romeo, it was like this goal, for example, you know, trying to finish P3 when your car is definitely inferior makes it a little tricky, you know, and your grip is fading throughout, so there's that added pressure, right? And there we go. The chicanes are the places for overtaking, what do you know, right? And then once you got the P3 secured, now you just have to make sure you defend it. And obviously, the grip is significantly lower at this point, right? I mean, it's not like your car's gonna skid all over the place, but it's even less forgiving. And as I said, Alfa Romeo is kind of unforgiving car to begin with, so your window of like error is getting, you know, like how much you can get away with minor mistakes is getting, you know, it's getting harder and harder, right? So, but once you have built up, you know, like once you are ahead of these bots, I think they tend to kind of fall behind for you, almost. So there we go. 20% grip still in place, which is, I don't know, a little bit of an assurance. But anyway, there we go. We crossed the finish line in P3 for another goal completion here. The penultimate goal of the event, the British Grand Prix. So pick up a few more driver XP and a few more motorsport dollars. All right, behind Hamilton and Verstappen, the two usual suspects, right? So let's put the car in red, but we can get it serviced instantly. So yeah, obviously, if you're trying kind of the same method that I'm trying, and if you're struggling, what I would probably do is, it did cross my mind because that last goal of finishing third did take me a few extra attempts, because I couldn't just keep the car on track. I was trying to, you know, overtake. You know, I had to drive pretty hard throughout the whole event, whole race. So what I would have invested would be in the suspension, because I feel like with the fading grip in general, it just, you know, eats in on your confidence with the cornering, and you know that's this car's weakness, so it just gets compounded, you know. Anyway, the final challenge obviously is to win, which was not nearly as bad as the penultimate goal, which seems to be a fairly typical trend with these special events. They usually don't put the hardest goal at the end. They put the toughest goal like maybe second to last or third to last or something like that. So I would say the last goal was probably one of the harder challenges in the entirety of the event when running with a bare minimum tuning, essentially. So yeah, as you can see here, I do have higher top speed, but Hamilton right on my tail because he probably has more tunings and maybe his driver levels higher than my Kimi Raikkonen here, who is at level 1. No upgrade has been applied yet because that costs gold, and it's hard to come by, so we gotta preserve, you know. Alright, so we got this lap and one more, and we are already down below 40% grip, but at least I have the P1 secured. So I would say that is the strategy once again with these fading grip challenges, is to get the most out of the race earlier on. So if it's, you know, you have to reach certain place before the end of the goal while the tire grip is fading, then I would say, like, yeah, push as hard as you can at the beginning, you know, because as you can see here, lower grip will make things a little bit dicier. And Hamilton actually isn't that far behind. In fact, close enough that I'm getting a little push into stow. And at the rate we're going, yeah, the final lap I'll be running entirely in red, as in 0% grip left on this set of wheels. So, but still, fending off opponents that are chasing from behind is generally much easier proposition, I think. Because at least you get to dictate the line, you know? So, and you can kind of tell when you hit the apex well, because you will notice that you are going to take off from your opponents. You know, the lead is going to build pretty quickly. Anyway, little feathering on the gas through the cops, because at this point with 0% grip left on the tires, I don't want to skid off track at this point. That will, you know, disqualify me and certainly would lose my lead. So once again, still, that one I did apply a little bit of brake, but nothing too heavy. And there we go. Just like that, we are through the finish line. That is victory. 430.444. And 747 driver XP. Plus 32,850 motorsport dollar rewards for those 3 laps, more or less. All right. So yeah, best lap, not really anything to write home about with this stats. That's a-okay. And yeah, so final stats, 4 on Gearbox, nothing else. No other tunings with a, yeah. I think my final PR was like 116.8 or something like that. I missed that screen. That's okay. But yeah, so it didn't cost me a whole lot. And we get to pick out now another 2020 season Formula One car. For this account, let's just go build up from the bottom up. So we'll pick, let's go with Williams. Yeah. All right. It's another like lower PR team. But, you know, Williams Racing, they got some charm to them. With some, you know, what would you call it? They're part of history, you know, so. And then we also get to pick up another tuning setup where there aren't that many installed to complete this event for Alfa Romeo. So there we go. So just 4 tunings added on the gearbox setup for this one. So as it turns out, there are differences between the different Formula One cars this season. So, alright, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.